Here's another perspective. I don't know what you would say about this, but we need core time demand as a business case. So part of the reason why you want to do Coretime is because you want people using these cores, right? So in some sense, if there's a way to connect the PBA funnel to you will be a Coretime customer, we're in good shape. The further you are from the students turning into Coretime customers, the worse off we are. The closer you get, but it's very hard. You got to pick a student off university and say, hey, what do you do with a Coretime? It's challenging. So I don't know how to connect the dots, but that would be the best case where you say, after you graduate, you will be a Coretime customer. That would be the optimal outcome. I don't know how to do it.
So this is a very, very important point, right? For success, there needs to be Coretime demand. And one of the things that I think one of the sort of mind viruses that we've had over the last 10 years or even longer is to try to be as efficient as possible, because blockchains they can't do very much very fast. They have limited storage, they have limited computation capacity, they have huge latency, right? And so gas is expensive, yada yada yada. So people want to do minimal amount in order to get sort of maximal, value, right? For want of a better word, maximum transaction values. With Polkadot, with Jam in particular, we want to do the opposite, right? We have tons of storage and compute capacity. If people are really, really efficient with it, there will not be enough core demand. Right? We will not be successful. We want to be inefficient. Furthermore, we want the sorts of things that don't really go well on blockchains, that are just basically too much. They require too much storage. They require too much bandwidth. They require too much computation. Why? Because we want people to buy up these cores, and we want to be the only platform that you can do this on, so that we have a monopoly over it. So all of that value goes into purchasing cores, even however inefficient it may be to run it on a magic internet supercomputer. We don't really mind too much if it's like, just do it on a server, you're not going to get that much more resilience. Right? Just run, I don't know, Pokemon Twitch on a server, it's fine. No, we want them to run it on the same computer. We want them to buy lots of cores when they do. This is sort of, it's a bit of I think it's an inversion to some extent of the incentives that we've had, over the last 10 years. We don't want people doing little transactions trying to, transfer millions of dollars in value. We actually want the opposite.
Optimization will come when
the cores run out, right? When demand exceeds supply,
and
supply dries up.
Market for optimization.
And then maybe we think about launching, having a Jam grid, and we have multiple instances of Jam with the same validator. The validators draw from the same staking pool and so forth. So there are ways of actually expanding the number of cores long term, but short term, we actually, this is why one of the first services I wrote on there was this really, really inefficient wallet thing, where it's like you just make a new service for a new wallet, and whenever you want to make a transfer, it's just a work item. So you can do maximum 16 transfers, and this is if you've got a sequence in a work package, which means maximum 5,000 TPS. Right? And then you're just wasting tons of gas and tons of storage. Why do this and not something that can, we can easily get hundreds of thousands, if not a million TPS plus on Jam? Why do it this way? Because we want cores to be used. Yeah, and it's like, eventually, when there's too much usage, when demand is too high, people will write efficient code and will use cores properly. It's the same with video games consoles. When a new video games console comes out using new technology, the games don't use the technology super well then at the time, and there's not that much point because it's so much better than the last series anyway. Whatever they do to use it, even inefficiently, it's still going to look better than what it did in the previous generation. But over time, they get more used to the technology, and there's more of a demand for actually, improving the graphics, improving the sound, improving the gameplay, and they will improve over the lifetime of a single video games console. We kind of have to think a little bit more in these terms, I think. Even Ethereum did. Ethereum's early use cases were pretty mad. They just wasted gas, right? Because gas was super cheap. And as soon as gas became expensive, like ICO boom took off. these use cases dried up. It's not a bad thing. It's just that in some sense we have this problem a lot more so because we have so much more resources that people can use. So we have to kind of invite people to be quite inefficient and think out of the box.